Projekt Guru.
Всем привет! С вами Zak Novak на радиостанции Novorossia Rocks. Welcome to Novorossia Rocks radio station. This is Zak Novak, your American in downtown Donetsk. The program is called Projekt Guru. Guru's in the house. Guru, thank you for all the hard work that you do. Andre, my engineer, thank you so much. Let's start off in Turkey. Nazi Erdogan takes over largest Turkish newspaper in violent crackdown, defiant until the end. Friday's edition of Zaman, Turkey's largest daily newspaper, was harshly critical of the Erdogan Junta government and its attempts to seize them as terrorists. If you were wondering what happened, however, you sure weren't reading about it in Sunday's Zaman. After violent police crackdowns on protesters and forcing their way into the offices, the paper is now well and truly state-run media, and unsurprisingly shifted dramatically in tone, running mostly fluff pieces about President Erdogan. Totally absent was any mention of the paper's takeover, or indeed any coverage of the violent crackdowns going on literally on their doorstep. International free press groups have lasted the takeover, which centered around Zaman's links with an Erdogan ally turned critic turned exiled terrorist, and the newspaper's coverage of corruption within the government. Turkish courts ultimately agreed that the easiest solution was to just nationalize the paper outright. Interestingly, though, the takeover was to affect the entire company. As of Sunday evening, the English language today's Zaman remained, as it was Saturday, still harshly critical of the takeover. This is expected to change, however, and former employees of the paper say that the government is working to wipe out the entire archive of pre-takeover articles by Zaman reporters. Whether they'll replace these with retroactive articles fitting the current narrative 1984 style remains to be seen. You need to check out the Facebook page, Guru. The atrocities committed on the streets, the crackdown on the protesters, violent crackdown on the protesters by the Erdogan junta regime. Guru, this really quick. Nancy Reagan dies in Los Angeles at 94. Former First Lady, was President Reagan's closest advisor. Nancy Davis Reagan, one of the most influential and controversial American First Ladies, dies at 94. You can check out more information on my Facebook, Zak Novak, and later on Novorossia Today on our website. Obama regime at war with the FBI, encryption war. While much of the reporting on encryption in the U.S. in recent weeks has focused on the battle between the FBI and technology companies, the administration is far from united behind the FBI's call for backdoors and easy access to nominally secure data. Indeed, battle lines within the administration are still being drawn, with the FBI and other spy agencies seeking unspecified government access to ensure no data is out of their reach. On the other side are government departments with data they want to keep secure. That's put the Pentagon, with its seemingly endless troves of secret data, directly against the FBI, concerned that a government policy of weakening encryption would put their own data at risk of being seized by other countries. The White House is desperately trying to downplay the split, saying their policy on encryption is clear, but stopping well short of saying what that policy actually is, and trying to present the FBI as favoring strong encryption with limits, though it is those limits which ultimately make the encryption vulnerable. The split is not easily resolved with compromise, as the FBI wants to make sure all encryption can be broken by them, while the Pentagon and others data-heavy agencies and departments are going to want encryption that is not readily broken. The Obama regime going to war in Libya on faulty intelligence yet again. The Sunday Telegraph interviewed a number of experts on Libya this weekend, with many warning that the Western plans to launch a war against ISIS in Libya are based largely on faulty intelligence from U.S. officials. The estimates of the number of jihadists is grossly exaggerated, noted the Atlantic Council's Libya expert Karim Mezran, referencing recent U.S. intelligence assessments which have claimed between 5,000 to 6,500 ISIS fighters in Libya. Those who talked to refugees from Sirte, the main ISIS-held city in Libya, said the number of ISIS fighters was in the hundreds, not in the thousands, and privately, U.S. officials say they too are skeptical of the assessment's large number. At the same time, the U.S. has been eager to expand the ISIS war, and Libya is a convenient place to do that. So for many policymakers, the assessment fits the narrative, and whether the assessment is true or not, it is very much beside the point. So again, Guru, you have the Obama regime going to war now in Libya. Afghanistan to be a graveyard for US-backed rebels, ISIS. Afghanistan has long been known as the place empires go to die, and President Ashraf Ghani sees that, applying to the local ISIS affiliate too, claiming that the group has already been defeated and that Afghanistan will be their graveyard. ISIS has had presence in Afghanistan for some time, centered around Nangarhar province on the Pakistani border. Afghan officials are claiming that a 21-day military operation against ISIS in that area ended in total victory, with 200 ISIS killed, presenting a large kill count in a single operation as total victory, however, has proven to be a mistake in other nations with ISIS affiliates in the past, as the group has tended to be far more resilient than anyone would expect after major losses. ISIS has been reported to have been recruiting across most provinces in Afghanistan, and while their largest presence was in Nangarhar, they were also believed to have a presence elsewhere. The group is also growing significantly in neighboring Pakistan, recruiting in the city of Karachi. Inside Syrian territory, U.S. regime expanding operation with 2 airfields. News reports from the Kurdish media in Syria suggested that the U.S. regime is expanding its operations inside northeast Syria and is now working on 2 separate air bases inside territory controlled by the Kurdish YPG. A U.S. project to expand the Rumelian airfield was initially reported back in January, and the new report suggested that the Rumelian project is almost finished. The second project is at an as yet undisclosed site near the Kurdish city of Kobani. U.S. Central Command issued a statement denying that the U.S. had any direct control over any airfields in Syria, though they did not actually deny that the projects themselves were ongoing, saying that they are looking to increase efficiency for logistics in Syrian Kurdistan. The Kurdish report suggested that the U.S. is already actively using the Rumelian field for flights of military helicopters. Even after expansion, the base is not expected to be big enough for most warplanes, but could accept armed deliveries as well as flights to deliver troops to the area. 13 killed, including 4 children, by US-backed terrorists in Kurdish quarter of Aleppo, Syria. At least 13 civilians were killed today and dozens of others wounded in Aleppo's Kurdish quarter held by the Syrian government when it was hit by scores of rockets and mortar fire from the surrounding area. At least 4 children were among the slain. Initial reports from the Syrian state media put the total of 14 killed, but this was later revised downward. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that the attacks were launched by US-backed Al-Qaeda Nusra Front. This adds to the toll of people killed during the Syrian ceasefire, with areas that are supposed to be covered by the ceasefire, though of course the Nusra Front is not a party to the ceasefire and was never expected to abide by it. There had been speculation in the lead-up to the ceasefire that the Syrian military would capture all of Aleppo before the pause began, though ultimately that was not the case. Aleppo has been contested for years, and what was once arguably Syria's richest, most important city has been badly damaged. US-backed terrorists strike Baghdad truck bomb, kills 60. ISIS has claimed responsibility for a major fuel tanker truck bombing outside of a police checkpoint near the city of Hilal, just south of the Iraqi capital of Baghdad, killing at least 60 people and wounding over 70 others. ISIS claimed credit for the attack on social media, insisting that it provided to the Shiite that the worst is yet to come. This is the latest in a growing series of major ISIS bombings in and around Baghdad in recent weeks. This attack along the road between Baghdad and Shiite holy city of Najaf is likely to add to concerns among Iraqi commanders that the focus on offensive against the city of Mosul has them spread too thin and unable to defend their territory from ISIS strikes. ISIS has been using vehicle bombs to inflict massive casualties on targets for years, but seems to be doing so even more frequently in recent weeks, reflecting their ability to get such vehicles into areas where they could do enormous damage. Serbs losing patience in its government push to join terrorist organization NATO. The Serbian society is on the brink of losing patience because of the activities aimed toward country's membership in a terrorist organization, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the Serbian Dveri movement said in a statement on Friday. On February 19, Serbian President Tomislav Nikolic signed a confirmation of the country's cooperation plan with NATO. Serbian lawmakers ratified a diplomatic immunity agreement and logistical support for NATO representatives on February 12th. The latest Belgrade moves became the discussion topic within Serbia and caused a series of protests across the country, as well as calls for a referendum on alleged accession of Serbia to the alliance. The Serbian public is on the brink of losing patience because of the policy of drawing Serbia into NATO's sphere of influence by force and of entering into the pact, which is implemented by the Serbian regime. The statement added that Dveri did not believe both Prime Minister Aleksandar Vučić and Nikolić because they were far from any neutrality, including the military one. According to the statement, Belgrade should hold a referendum on NATO membership on the ground of the fact that around 80% of the Serbs oppose the membership into this terrorist organization. The statement also added that Dveri urged to change the most significant Serbia's security document and to include cooperation with Moscow and Russian-led Collective Security Treaty Organization CSTO in them. The planned document should be changed in order to update them in accordance with the changes in the international relations and the situation in the region, with a clear focus on the limitation of NATO's influence in the region and support of the cooperation with CSTO. Belgrade is part of NATO's Partnership for Peace program alongside other former Yugoslav republics. Its individual partnership action plan entered into force in January 2015. Serbia is also an observer state in the Parliamentary Assembly of the CSTO and an associate member in the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. Everyone, be safe out there. As I stress always, be on alert. Take care. Tomorrow, huge holiday, international holiday to all the women out there. Happy Women's Day, and see you all on Wednesday. Bye-bye, folks.